Let me ask you something. How many more years are you willing to trade your time, your health, and your peace of mind for a life that still doesn't feel like enough? Because somewhere between the mortgage and the medical bills and the grocery receipts that keep getting harder to look at, something shifted. The math stopped working, and you started wondering if maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't you. Maybe the problem is where you're doing the math. What if $1,200 a month wasn't a tight budget? What if it was a life, a real one, with good food and warm weather and actual breathing room and mornings that don't start with anxiety? That life exists right now, in places most Americans have never seriously considered. And today I'm counting down 10 of them, from surprising to absolutely life-changing. Real numbers, real data, real talk. By the time we get to number 1, I guarantee you will never think about your money the same way again. Number 10. North Macedonia. Most people can't find this country on a map, and the people quietly living there for under $900 a month are perfectly fine with that. North Macedonia sits in the heart of the Balkans, a NATO member, formerly allied with the United States. No travel warnings, no political tensions, no drama. This is a country that treats American visitors with genuine warmth. It's here at number 10 not because it's bad, it's here because it's unfamiliar. The expat community is tiny. English is spoken, but not widely. If you need a large community of fellow Americans around you, North Macedonia will feel lonely at first. But if you value authenticity over comfort and want to live inside a culture rather than alongside it, what it offers is extraordinary. The real numbers? Groceries run $120 to $160. A sit-down dinner costs $4 to $7. Private health insurance for someone in their 50s runs $70 to $100 a month. Skopje has an old bazaar district dating back to Ottoman times. Cobblestone streets, artisan workshops. Living history Americans fly to Istanbul or Budapest to experience for a weekend. Except here, you live inside it. 2 hours away sits Lake Ohrid, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Apartments overlooking that lake rent for $250 a month. The honest reality check: internet outside the capital can be inconsistent. Specialized medical care means traveling to a neighboring country. You are building your social life from scratch here. But if that excites rather than scares you, North Macedonia might be your hidden gem. Now, if North Macedonia felt a little too off the beaten path, the next country gives you something equally affordable, but with a reputation for being one of the safest, cleanest, most organized nations on its entire continent. And that continent might surprise you. Number 9. Rwanda. I know what just happened in your head. Rwanda. And your brain immediately went to 1994. I understand. And I'm not going to pretend that history didn't happen. It did. It was one of the most horrific events of the 20th century. But here's what most Americans have absolutely no idea about. Rwanda in 2025 is arguably the safest, cleanest, most efficiently run country in all of Africa. The capital, Kigali, is consistently ranked one of the cleanest cities in the entire world. Not in Africa, in the world. Plastic bags banned since 2008, streets immaculate, infrastructure modern, government stable, and one of the highest percentages of women in government of any nation on earth. English is an official language. Rwanda made the deliberate choice to switch to English as its primary language of education and business. As an American in Kigali, you can navigate daily life, open a bank account, see a doctor, and make friends entirely in English. The numbers. A modern one-bedroom apartment in a good Kigali neighborhood rents for $300 to $500 a month. Groceries run $150 to $200. A meal at a local restaurant costs $3 to $6. Private health insurance runs $80 to $130 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $850 to $1,050. On $1,200, you are living comfortably with genuine breathing room. Kigali sits at nearly 5,000 feet elevation, giving it a permanently mild spring-like climate. Cool mornings, warm afternoons, perfect evenings, green rolling hills in every direction. The honest reality check: Rwanda is landlocked, no beach. Flights from the US are 16 to 20 hours, and getting your social security deposited reliably requires some banking setup planning before you arrive. But if you're open-minded enough to look at Africa differently than you've been taught to, Rwanda will genuinely blow your mind. Now we're moving from Africa back toward the Mediterranean. The next country has been hiding in plain sight, a North African nation with European architecture, ancient ruins, turquoise coastline, and a cost of living so low it almost feels like a mistake. Number 8. Tunisia. White and blue wash buildings cascading down a hillside toward a turquoise Mediterranean Sea. Ancient Roman ruins you can walk through on a Tuesday afternoon with almost nobody else around. A cafe where you sit outside, drink strong coffee, eat fresh pastries, watch fishing boats come in, and the whole morning costs you $4. That is Tunisia, and almost no American is talking about it. Tunisia sits on the northern tip of Africa, directly across the Mediterranean from Italy. The climate is Mediterranean, warm, sunny, mild winters. The food is a spectacular fusion of Arab, Berber, French, and Italian influences. And Tunisians have a reputation among expats for being among the most hospitable people in the entire Mediterranean region. Tunisia is the most politically moderate and stable country in North Africa. Secular constitution, women drive, work, vote, and hold professional positions at impressive rates. The U.S. State Department currently lists Tunisia at level 2, exercise increased caution, the same rating as France and Belgium. Americans enter visa-free for 90 days. The numbers. A comfortable one-bedroom apartment in Tunis or coastal Sousse rents for $200 to $350 a month. Groceries run $100 to $150. A full restaurant meal costs $3 to $6. Private health insurance runs $60 to $100 a month. Total monthly budget, $700 to $900. On $1,200, you have $300 to $500 left over every single month. The honest reality check. Arabic is the primary language, and English is less common than other countries on this list. The political situation, while stable, has seen some democratic backsliding worth monitoring, but for the open-minded American who wants Mediterranean beauty at a fraction of Mediterranean prices, is one of the most underrated opportunities on this entire list. Number 7, Armenia. Here is something most Americans don't know. Armenia has one of the largest diaspora communities in the United States. Armenian Americans have been part of the American story for over a century. Communities in California, Massachusetts, New York. The Kardashians, yes, those Kardashians, are Armenian American. And because of that deep generational connection, when you arrive in Yerevan as an American, you are not a stranger. You are something closer to a cousin coming home for the first time. Armenians are genuinely, warmly, authentically pro-American in a way that is rare in today's geopolitical climate. And that cultural warmth combined with a cost of living that will make your accountant weep with joy makes Armenia one of the most compelling destinations on this list. Yerevan is a modern, walkable, surprisingly sophisticated city. Thriving cafe culture, excellent restaurants, a growing arts scene. The city is built from pink volcanic stone called tuff, which gives it a warm, rosy glow unlike anywhere else in the world. Mount Ararat visible on clear days from the city, ancient monasteries carved into cliff sides. One of the most visually stunning regions in all of the Caucasus. A good one-bedroom apartment in central Yerevan rents for $300 to $500 a month. Groceries run $130 to $180. A meal at a local restaurant, and Armenian food is genuinely spectacular. Fresh herbs, grilled meats, incredible bread, costs $4 to $8. Private health insurance runs $70 to $110 a month. Total realistic budget, $800 to $1,000 a month. On $1,200 in Yerevan, you are living well, with room to travel on weekends to some of the most ancient historical sites in the world. The honest reality check. The conflict with Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh creates regional uncertainty worth monitoring. Winters in Yerevan are genuinely cold. This is not a warm climate retirement, and Russia's influence in the region adds geopolitical complexity some Americans will find uncomfortable. But European sophistication, ancient history, extraordinary food, genuinely warm people, and one of the lowest costs of living of any capital city in the world, Yerevan belongs on your short list. Now we leave the Caucasus and head somewhere that will surprise almost every American watching. A country in the Arabian Peninsula that most people associate with oil wealth and extreme heat. Number 6, Oman. When most Americans think about the Middle East, they think conflict, instability, and cultural restriction. Oman wants to have a word with that assumption. Oman is the quiet, dignified, extraordinarily safe outlier of the Arabian Peninsula. The U.S. State Department gives Oman a Level 1 travel advisory, exercise normal precautions. That is the same rating as Japan and Switzerland. When the State Department says Oman is as safe as Switzerland, that is not a small statement. The Omani people have a cultural reputation for hospitality that is not marketing, it is deeply embedded in who they are. English is widely spoken in business, healthcare, and hospitality. The country is Muslim but moderate, tolerant, and welcoming of Western residents in a way that makes daily life comfortable and unrestricted. And visually, dramatic mountain ranges dropping into desert, a coastline stretching over 1,700 miles with empty white beaches, ancient forts and souks that are living museums of Arabian history, the capital Muscat sitting beautifully between rocky mountains and the blue Arabian Sea. A one-bedroom apartment in Muscat rents for $500 to $700 a month. Groceries run $200 to $250. Eating at local Omani restaurants costs $5 to $10 a meal. Private health insurance runs $100 to $150 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $1,050 to $1,300. $1,200 in Oman is tight but doable, especially if you live slightly outside central Muscat or in the coastal town of Salalah, which is significantly cheaper and has a remarkable near-tropical climate during monsoon season. The honest reality check. Oman is not the cheapest option on this list. If your budget is a strict $1,200, you need discipline here. Summers in Muscat are brutally hot, and many expats leave for July and August. And while English is widely spoken, cultural norms around dress and public behavior require genuine respect. But for safety, beauty, and an extraordinary quality of life that most Americans never associate with this part of the world, Oman absolutely belongs in the conversation. Now we cross back to the Western Hemisphere. The next country is one most Americans think of as a forgotten corner of South America. What they don't realize is that it has one of the most dollar-friendly economies in the world, almost zero expat competition, and a cost of living so low that $1,200 there feels closer to $4,000 in terms of what it actually buys you. Number 5, Paraguay. Paraguay doesn't get the credit it deserves. No coast, no famous ruins, no brand, and that complete absence of hype is exactly why it's on this list. Paraguay is landlocked in the heart of South America, bordered by Brazil, Argentina, and Bolivia. And it has something unique. A fully dollarized shadow economy where the US dollar is king, and a government that has actively built programs to attract foreign residents because they want your money in their economy. No worldwide income tax, your social security, your pension, your investment income. Paraguay doesn't touch it. A comfortable one-bedroom in Asuncion rents for $200 to $350 a month. Groceries run $100 to $150. A restaurant meal costs $3 to $6. Private health insurance runs $70 to $110 a month. Total realistic budget, $700 to $900. On $1,200, you have $300 to $500 left over every month without trying. The expat community is growing, particularly in Encarnacion near the Argentine border, a riverside city with a pleasant quality of life that consistently surprises people who expected very little. The honest reality check. Paraguay requires mindset adjustment. It is not glamorous. Spanish is essential. The heat is significant with hot, humid summers, and the infrastructure is functional but not impressive. But financially, Paraguay might be the single smartest move an American could make in all of South America right now. The numbers simply don't lie. Number 4, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had a moment in 2022 that made international headlines for all the wrong reasons. Economic collapse, fuel shortages, political chaos, citizens storming the presidential palace. It was real, and it was difficult. But here's what happened on the other side that nobody is covering. Sri Lanka stabilized, the IMF came in, reforms were implemented, and because of that crisis and the recovery that followed, Sri Lanka is currently one of the most affordable places in Asia to live. Prices dropped dramatically and have not fully recovered. Which means, for someone arriving now with US dollars, you are arriving at the best possible time. Sri Lanka is a teardrop-shaped island off the southern tip of India. Tropical beaches on the south and west coast. Lush green hill country with tea plantations that look painted. Ancient Buddhist temples dating back over 2,000 years. Elephants in national parks. A food culture, rice and curry, fresh seafood, incredible tropical fruit that is among the most flavorful in all of Asia, and people who are consistently among the warmest in the entire region. English is widely spoken, it was a British colony, and English remains a language of education and business. Americans do not need a visa for initial stays. The numbers. A comfortable one-bedroom in Colombo or Candy rents for $250 to $450 a month. In beach towns like Galway, it's $300 to $500. Groceries run $120 to $170. A local restaurant meal costs $2 to $5. Private health insurance runs $70 to $120 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $800 to $1,000. On $1,200, you are living beautifully with real leftover money every month. The honest reality check. The economic situation, while stabilized, still carries uncertainty. Power outages, while reduced, can still occur. And flights from the US are 20-plus hours, which matters when thinking about getting home quickly for family emergencies. But tropical Asian beauty, genuine cultural richness, warm people, and a cost of living that feels almost impossible by American standards. Now we are in the top 3. From this point, these are not just affordable countries, these are genuinely life-changing options for Americans specifically. The next one sits just a few hours from the United States, uses your dollar directly, and is in the middle of a transformation that a growing wave of Americans say was the best decision they ever made. Number 3, El Salvador. This one is going to create some debate. El Salvador has a reputation, gang violence. MS-13, one of the most dangerous countries in the Western Hemisphere, that was the headline for years. But headlines age, and El Salvador's reality in 2025 is dramatically different from even 5 years ago. President Bukele's crackdown on gang activity beginning in 2022 produced results that are statistically extraordinary. El Salvador went from one of the highest murder rates in the world to recording rates now lower than many American cities. Beach towns like El Tunco and El Zunti are full of tourists, surfers, and retirees walking freely at times of day that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. Is the crackdown controversial from a human rights perspective? Yes, that conversation is legitimate, but the on-the-ground safety reality for a foreign resident today is dramatically better than the reputation suggests. And here's what makes El Salvador uniquely compelling for Americans specifically. El Salvador uses the US dollar as its official currency, not pegged to the dollar. The actual US dollar, your bills, your coins, no exchange rate risk, no currency confusion. Your $1,200 is $1,200. Period. It's also close. A direct flight from Houston or Miami takes under 3 hours. A one-bedroom apartment in a good San Salvador neighborhood rents for $350 to $550 a month. Groceries run $150 to $200. A local restaurant meal costs $4 to $8. Private health insurance runs $80 to $130 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $900 to $1,100. On $1,200, you are comfortable near the beach, 3 hours from home, spending actual dollars without any conversion math. The honest reality check. The safety improvement is real but relatively recent, and its long-term durability is not guaranteed. The country is small with limited internal travel options, and the expat community, while growing, is still finding its feet. But proximity to America, dollar economy, improving safety, and a Pacific coastline with some of the best surfing in Central America make El Salvador one of the most practical options on this entire list. 2 countries left. Number 2 is the European dream most people think costs a fortune, but actually doesn't, if you know where to go. And number 1 is the one that will make half of you close the video in disbelief, and the other half start Googling flights. Number 2, Montenegro. We are back in Europe, and this time the price tag is going to surprise you. Montenegro is the kind of place that makes you feel like you're getting away with something. Medieval walled cities on the Adriatic coast, mountains plunging dramatically into the clearest water you have ever seen, 200 days of sunshine a year. The kind of European beauty people put on vision boards and assume they can never afford. Except in Montenegro, you actually can. Montenegro is a NATO member, allied with the United States. An EU candidate country that already uses the euro. English widely spoken along the coast, genuinely safe, American passport holders welcomed with zero friction. And here's what sets Montenegro apart from every other European destination on any retirement list. The prices have not caught up to the beauty yet. The tourist crowds have not arrived in the numbers that Croatia or Italy draw. The affordability window is still open. but it is closing. The numbers. A one-bedroom apartment in Kotor, a UNESCO World Heritage medieval city on a bay so beautiful it doesn't look real, rents for $350 to $550 a month. Groceries run $150 to $200. A local restaurant meal costs $6 to $10. Private health insurance runs $80 to $130 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $950 to $1,150. On $1,200, you are living in medieval European coastal beauty with money to spare. The weekend trips alone justify the move. Croatia, 2 hours north. Albania, 1 hour south. Italy, an overnight ferry. From your apartment in a European medieval city, you can reach 5 countries in a weekend without spending a fortune. The honest reality check. Infrastructure outside major areas can be inconsistent. Specialized medical care means traveling to Croatia or Serbia, and the expat community, while growing, is still small. You will be pioneering rather than joining an established scene. But if you want real Europe without the European price tag that has locked most Americans out of that dream, Montenegro is as close to perfect as this list gets. Which brings us to number 1. This one requires an open mind. It has a reputation that will make some of you uncomfortable. But the Americans already living there are doing so on $800 a month with 2 coastlines, colonial cities, and a direct flight from Miami. And they will tell you it was worth every ounce of uncertainty. Number 1, Nicaragua. I know what just went through your head. And I'm not going to pretend Nicaragua doesn't have political complexity. The Ortega government is authoritarian. Human rights organizations have raised legitimate concerns. That is real. But here's what the headlines consistently fail to capture. There are between 5,000 and 10,000 American expats living in Nicaragua right now. Not tourists, residents, people who chose to be there, who renew their visas, who will tell you directly that their daily life is safe, affordable, beautiful, and free in a way that America stopped feeling years ago. The political repression in Nicaragua is primarily directed at opposition figures and activists, not at foreign residents living quietly. This distinction is crucial, and the headline version of Nicaragua consistently obscures it. Nicaragua is the largest country in Central America. 2 coastlines, Pacific and Caribbean, volcanic lakes, colonial cities with architecture that stops you in your tracks. Granada, on the edge of Lake Nicaragua with Spanish colonial buildings painted in colors so vivid they look like a painting. San Juan del Sur on the Pacific with a bay that expats have quietly called paradise for 20 years. The numbers. A comfortable 1-bedroom in Granada or Leon rents for $200 to $350 a month. On the Pacific coast, it's $300 to $500. Groceries run $100 to $150. A local restaurant meal costs $2 to $5. Private health insurance runs $60 to $100 a month. Total realistic monthly budget, $700 to $900. On $1,200 a month in Nicaragua, you have $300 to $500 left, over every single month without discipline or sacrifice. Miami to Nicaragua is a direct 3 to 4 hour flight. You are not isolated. You are closer to Miami than Montana is. And the Pensionado residency program qualifies you if you receive just $600 a month in Social Security or pension income. $600. The country is actively inviting you. The honest reality check. If you plan to be politically active or vocal as an expat, Nicaragua is not your place. Spanish is essential. Infrastructure is the least developed on this list. And the political situation requires genuine eyes-open awareness before you commit. But $700 a month, 2 coastlines, colonial cities, 3 hours from Miami, and thousands of Americans already living this life who will tell you it was worth it. Nicaragua is number 1 because freedom has a cost. And right now that cost is about $800 a month. So there they are. 10 countries, 10 different versions of the same truth. Your money means more somewhere else. Your time is worth protecting, and the rat race does not have to be your whole story. You're 50 or 55 or 58, and you still have decades ahead of you. The question is what you do with them. Do you stay in the race, or do you finally, deliberately, choose to step off? The $1,200 life is real. The people living it are real. And the only thing standing between you and it is the story you've been telling yourself about what's possible. Maybe it's time to write a new one. If this video opened something up for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop in the comments which country surprised you most, because I read every single one.